Today's not the day to talk about what modern leadership is and how it's different from how we've approached leadership development in the past. But modern leadership is here, and modern leadership is desperately needed by all of our leaders and all of our organizations. But there is now, you can now create these experiences, right? There is an instrument. There are instruments available to you that you can now start to use as an artist, as a practitioner, in order for you to be intentional about measurement. And that measurement isn't going to suck up resources, time, and
Yep.
funding as it has in the past, so that you can create that experience. It's just so easy breezy and lovely to me. Why would we want to layer it
It's
up
yeah.
with additional commentary? Do you know what I
Yep.
mean?
Agreed. 100%.
Yeah. So what I want to do is I want to use these three words, the instrument, the artist, and the experience. And I want to log into the Rejuvi platform. And I want to just to talk a little bit about how we see each of these things kind of coming together to create this impact, intentionality around measurement, this virtuoso experience from a measurement perspective, like we've never really had available to us before.
Yep.
So I'm gonna for those of you who've seen us do a demo for the first time, I'm going to log in, and to log in to the Rejuvi platform, it's really simple. You just go to rejuviventure.com. You look in the top right-hand corner, you're going to strike login, and you're going to put in your credentials. I am entering credentials as an administrator, and I'm entering credentials of a company called BlackRock Steel. And here we go, right? We're entering the Rejuvi platform. We want everyone to remember, again, today's not the day to talk about modern leadership. Today's not the day to talk about there are lots and lots of people that are paid to lead inside an organization, and the modern leadership models that support them look different. It's different for a senior leader, different for a sales leader, red, different for a service leader, purple, different for a team leader, blue, and coming soon, different for an expert leader, like a data leader or an IT leader, that will be green. But as we enter the Rejuvi platform and start to look at the features of Rejuvi, and we start to think about the instrument, the artist, and the experience. One thing that I would offer is that I think that there are two key instruments that exist inside of a modern leadership platform that help us to be intentional about leadership. And I think it starts with number one, leader population, right? Because when you think about that feature of, and I'm going to click on it for a moment, it's asking you to be intentional about the leaders that work inside of your organization. It's asking you to be intentional about, number one, what do you know about their leader insight, the things that make them fantastic as a human leader, their compassionate human capability. And then it's also asking you, I'm kind of hovering over this piece right here called organization intelligence summary. It's asking you, what do you know about these people in terms of their ability to run the business, to run their department, to run their operational line? I think that if you think about the instruments of being intentional inside of measurement, it starts with these features. You have to think about leader population, and I'm going to hop back to that for just a minute. And you have to think about this feature right here called reporting and analytics, because you're going to want to understand some things at the individual level. You're going to want to understand some things at the group or team or entire organization level. And last, you're going to want to do some things in terms of custom analytics and impact analytics. you're going to want to take all of your data and you're going to want to convert that growth, that incremental growth, at the leader level or organizational level to the outcomes that matter. I feel like this is your instrument, right? This is your violin. It may not be 600 years old. Not at all.
Yeah.
We don't have modern leadership and modern
Yeah.
leadership platform for nothing, right? But I
Yeah.
think it all
Yeah.
starts with it, right? It starts with those two pieces, and I'm going to go back to the opening piece of the platform with leader population and reporting analytics. Be intentional, and you can be.
Yes, absolutely. And I think the beauty here is that we know that all music, you know, for as long as it's existed, for what we remember it for, and all instruments produce music 7 notes. It's just the variances
Mhm.
around that, right? The octaves
Yeah.
and the pitches and the frequency, like I said. But the combinations, the permutations and combinations are infinite. And the ability
Mhm.
to grow from it and the ability to improve and the ability to drive more and more perfection out of it is just infinite. It's a similar
Mhm.
notion here too. There are these specific things that are required, and leader population and wanting to manage and grow and curate and raise the bar on your leader population, and then also giving yourself the ability to do reporting and analytics on that leader population, both individually and as a cohort,
Mhm.
and even more importantly, tying those two categories or segments to the business results or the outcomes of the organization is critical, right? Is critical as part of that instrumental,
Mhm.
capability and
Mhm.
capacity. And once you have those two, I think the possibilities are endless and infinite, and it's up to your imagination and your creativity.
Your comment just actually made me do an edit to, I think, the tools that really comprise the instrument that allow you to be intentional about measurement, because you've used the word curate twice,
Hmm.
and so
Hmm.
what I would say is that you really need you really need all of this,
Yes.
but you're definitely going to need the data collection piece, right? Your instrument needs to allow you a real-time focus on who it is inside of your
Right.
organization and at what level you're paying them to lead. You need applications and engines to be able to collect the data, to curate the data, right?
Yep.
And you're going to need applications and engines that allow you to slice and dice the data for real learning. Because if you're not really learning and looking at that data, you don't know how to grow. And so I
Right.
love your comments that the instrument, I think isn't so much just leader population and reporting and analytics. You need that data collection tool that's going to allow you to slice and dice and to curate in all kinds of ways for the learning inside of reporting and analytics.
Right, exactly. And then you're off to creating your beautiful symphonies and concertos or whatever it is that gives joy to the leadership, to leadership community within organizations. And I think
Yeah.
it is such a need of the hour that
Mhm.
I think it's like, you know, as you've talked through this, a very basic term comes to mind. It's like it's a no-brainer approach to leadership development, right?
Mhm.
How could one not have this or these components as part of any robust, leadership development program,
Mhm.
inside organizations or inside
Mhm.
groups?
I agree. So we've got, in order to be intentional about impact, we're talking about an instrument, an artist, and creating the experience. And when it comes to this piece called the artist, right? So now what we're doing is we're talking, and when we think about the artist, I'm not thinking about the leader yet. I'm thinking about the people
Yep.
who are trying to be intentional about measuring impact of their
That's right.
modern leadership movements. That's the artist that I'm talking about. So they've got this instrument. Their beautiful violin allows them to do leader population work. It allows them to do data collection. It allows them to do reporting and analytics. But when we talk about the artist and their artistry, That's where if I when I would actually go into resources to go,
Yep.
and I would go into trusted partner because this is the place for content for those leadership practitioners. And you can find leadership practitioners in human resources. You can find them in your sales performance and enablement groups. You can find them in your supply chain training and development groups. You can find them all, you can find them all over the place. The point being, they're not just in human resources, right? And so we call those practitioners trusted partners, but we're trying to help them to be the artist. We're trying to help them to create the music with this instrument. And so I'm going into a folder called Blueprints, Roadmaps, and Guides. And when you're out here, we have a series, the Rejuvi platform has a series of, maybe you could call them music sheets, right?
Mm.
That allows the artist to be the leadership practitioner to play the music, to use the instrument and to play beautiful music. So for example, Blueprints, I'm going to just open it up and preview it for just a minute. And for those of you watching us open Rejuvi resources to go for the first time, you're always going to see them open the same way. They're going to open with your thumbnails to the left. They're going to open with the full screen to the right. And almost always you're going to see these three little circles to the bottom right that allow you to simply navigate. But I'm going to navigate through this pretty quickly, and I want to get to this. Opening sheet for implementation blueprints. Implementation blueprints are like a music sheet for the artist, the leadership practitioner, because what it allows you to do is to think about, what kind of music do I want to play today? Am I trying to create music for a leader? Am I trying to do it for a team? Am I trying to do it for the overall business? So for example, if you said, well, no, the person that I'm creating this music for today is a leader, I can actually click on that and I'm going to have some choices for different types of music. I can put together some coaching music. I can put together some training music. I can put together some development music. And let's just go with the first one here, just to kind of go through quickly. If I said I want to play some coaching music, what Rejuvi is doing is it's giving this artist, right? It's giving this leadership practitioner an idea of what the notes are that they're going to have to hit in order to create this wonderful experience for people, right? It's like, you've got to play this music here. This is how it fits together. And it's going into the instrument, right? A leader population. It's going into data collection. It's going into reporting and analytics. It's going in resources to go, and it's pulling up those resources and showing you how to weave them together to create this beautiful experience. Do you know what I mean? I think this, when we think about this, simple, you've got an instrument, right? You've got an artist, and you're creating this experience for someone.
Exactly.
This is the artistry right here. It's helping our practitioners weave together fantastic music
Yep.
for their leaders.
And wrapping it in the experience that will make it memorable and enticing and
Mhm.
welcoming. These are words that we oftentimes don't hear in conjunction with leadership development initiatives,
Yes.
right?
hmm I'm so glad that you brought that up because I have a reputation for being a little bit of a stickler around design. And not only do I believe that the design should be very, very sound instructionally and deeply connected to action and to modern leadership, but I think that it should be beautiful. And I think that I love that you brought up that these music sheets, right? These that we create for the leadership practitioner allow them to create beautiful experiences for their leaders, because all training and development should be zestful and profound,
Right.
right? It
Right.
absolutely should be. It's not just a hodgepodge of stuff coming together. It's instructionally sound, it's easy on the eyes, and all of those things create a more engaging learning experience. I love that you brought that up, Vid.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm. So, continuing on this notion of, again, you've got an instrument, which is where are really all the features of Rejuvi, that the Rejuvi platform that allow you to be intentional about impact. But the artist is more around the leadership practitioner. And not only do we have, for example, we're going through the blueprints, which allow you to understand how to open up a music sheet and play and create these beautiful experiences for leaders. You can go into team and you can create a team building experience, right? There's your music sheet for a team building experience for the leaders inside of your organization. If you were thinking about it more from an entire organization perspective, you can click on business, and there are some music sheets for you there, including, I'll go to the last one here, something called a leadership bench critical path. Another way to say that is, how do I think about using modern leadership and creating beautiful music in the succession planning process? And you can go there, and lo and behold, there's our stinky old 9 box that's sitting behind on the left, because we're trying to push beyond that. But this is something that we call the Rejuvi blueprints. And I'm going to get out of the blueprints right now, and I'm going to hop back to the Rejuvi platform and remind everyone where we're at. Is we're in this trusted partner folder. These are the artists who are trying to grow modern leadership inside their organization. And Rejuvi has these music sheets that number one, called blueprints. This allows them to play that music in, more typical leadership interventions, like things for the leader, things for the team, things for the business. But that's not the only music sheets that you're going to find out here, right? You're also going to find what we call roadmaps. I'll open up the first one. Here's one on leading change. And if we open that up, there we go. Again, you're going to see it open the same way. Little
Yep.
thumbnails on your left, whole sheet on your right, and there are navigation buttons to the right. But really quickly, what I want to do here, because I know exactly how to get here quickly, is to get to the place where we say, what's the music sheet? What for, in this case, a job to be done, called How Do I Enable Change from a Modern Leadership Perspective Like I Never Have Before. This is for the artist right here. And I think the last thing is we have blueprints, we have roadmaps, but we also have what we call predicting guides, and this is what I would call the third set of music sheets for the practitioner, to help them to do something different on behalf of modern leadership inside of their organization. So I'm gonna save a little bit of time and not go through. In this case, it's called the Attrition Predicting Guide. But all of these things exist inside of the modern leadership platform that is Rejuvi, right? Because we believe that you should be intentional about impact. You should be intentional about measuring impact. And we believe that you can be. And you
Yep.
can be through the features of Rejuvi, and that's your instrument. And then you can be the artist, right? And you can create these experiences for people through these roadmaps, through these blueprints, through these predicting guides that shows you exactly how to use the instrument and play that music. It all fits together.
Yep. Absolutely. It fits together, and it's applicable in the sense that it's universal, right? And we talk about music and why music is the universal language, right? It does not recognize language, does not recognize borders, et cetera, et cetera. If you bring the same analogy and continuing in the same point of discussion, the thing about this is that this instrument can provide these unending, infinite abilities to grow and and to grow businesses and the leaders at the same time. But it's also the notion that it can be universally applied to
Mhm.
all leader segments, right? And that's the
Mhm.
other thing that we keep talking about quite a bit, about intentionality and modern leadership and impact on business. And the idea here is that it should not be, music should not be the purview of only certain people, and neither should leadership development. as music is, enriching, empowering, all of us. So should
Mhm.
leadership development should empower
Mhm.
all of us who are paid to
Mhm.
lead inside organizations. So that's the
Mhm.
other piece that's so important to remember when we think of impact
I
and measurement.
I love the words that you're using. It should be universally applied because if we go back to these three things that we talked about that were present in any with a virtuoso, they've got the instrument. That's, the leadership practitioners have the Rejuvi platform. There's the artist that's using that instrument, and we have leadership practitioners using these music sheets, these roadmaps, blueprints to create the music. But you have a recipient, right? You have a learner. And I agree so much, Vid, that experience is created for the leaders inside of our organization, and it should be universally applied. And so to demonstrate that, I want to go back into resources, but I'm going to go into a different folder. And
Yep.
this time I'm going to go to the administrator. I'm going to go into some communication materials, and I'm going to actually go into, I believe it's on page 2, something called the leadership bench building. And
Yes.
this is one of my favorite particular documents out here because to me, it completes the story of what we're trying to talk about today, which is own to run, right? Own the accountability for creating impact, measuring the impact of leadership development. And to own that, you're going to need an instrument. You're going to need to be an artist, and weave together a modern leadership solution. But you're going to create these experiences that are going to actually make your leadership bench come alive with intentionality for team leaders. It's going to come alive for service leaders. It's going to come alive for expert leaders like Anya. It's going to come alive for sales leaders like Daniel. It's going to come alive for senior leaders like Sadhna. It's going to come alive so that the leadership bench is rich and just as you intend it to be, right? That's the full experience that you actually want. Make this come alive.
Yep. Absolutely. And it translates and it applies. And like we've been saying over and over again, it empowers, it enriches, and it welcomes everybody to that
Mm-hmm.
bench.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, this for me, again, I'm gonna kind of close the same way that I opened it, and I'm just really glad that you and I got to be together. And I think this really important session called Own to Run. We called it Own to Run because we believe that you can now, own an instrument,
Mhm.
own your artistry, own a completely different experience on behalf of leadership capacity inside your organization. And when you do that, you're going to run entirely differently, right? You're going to run
Exactly.
absolutely entirely differently. And so I'm so glad that you're here today because I think that with your background, you bring a sense of peace, I think. You bring a sense of confidence to the space called measurement that that peace and that confidence hasn't always existed. In fact, it's never existed. I'm not, let me just speak truth here. It's never existed inside of the leadership development space. And so I think it's so important to have someone like you with your background here today to say, yeah, you, in terms of being intentional about this, own to run, right?
Yeah,
Own the instrument,
absolutely.
own the artistry, own the experience, and run with it and have a ball.